Death Stranding medieval reviews are all very polarizing. Should we listen to reviews at all? That's what's up next on Wumpa Time. What's up, everybody? My name is Canadian Guy, and I'm joined by my co-host and great idea of this whole podcast, Shep.
Me.
You.
Me. That's me. I'm Shep. Hello.
Hi. So you may have seen Shep's logo many times on the end of my videos. He's been editing and helping out the channel. He's been doing an amazing job.
Stop.
I couldn't ask for a better editor or helper on the channel. And this is also was a great idea of his that he's been asking for us to do for a while, and I agreed with it. But I have been a little bit lazy on it, I will admit, or busy, more like.
Sure, whatever word you want. What your favorite word is?
We'll go with busy. So, quickly, before we get into the topics today, here are the headlines for the week. Breakpoint. Ubisoft did absolutely awful with, what was it? Breakpoint? Yeah.
That's generous.
Yeah, they did absolutely terrible. And basically what they're doing is they're reevaluating all their approvals for games, and they're actually delaying almost every single one of their projects almost an additional year. BlizzCon happened earlier this week, and there were lots of protesting, but overall was peaceful. And get this, GTA, like, this is something that still baffles me too, dude. GTA sold 5 million copies since May of this year and has totaled selling 115 million copies.
That is too many GTA 5s. Oh my god.
That's a lot. Take-Two Interactive also announced today during their quarterly calls, Kerbal Space Program got delayed. They are very happy, though, with everything that's been going on, but that game itself has been delayed. And Red Dead Redemption 2 launched this week for PC with a lot of bugs.
Technically?
there were a lot of really, really bad bugs. I think right now Rockstar is currently trying to patch those up as quick as possible. The releases for this week that start at the start of the week is Red Dead Redemption 2 for PC, like we just said, Planet Zoo,
Yay.
Mario and Sonic for the Olympic Games 2020, Just Dance 2020, Need for Speed Heat, Layton's Mystery Journey, Jumanji the Game, and Death Stranding, which...
And I think we're missing. Yeah, new Super Lucky's Tale came out.
That's right. That's right. New Super Lucky's Tale as well. I forgot about that. My mistake. So, let's get into the topic of the day, and I think this is just going to be. I think we can almost summarize it into one word, and that's reviews.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Death Stranding.
So, I've had a lot to say about this ever since it came out.
Well, fire away.
But so at work, for those who don't know, I work at a game store, and we're surrounded by this all day. One of the coworkers there has been is extremely excited for Death Stranding. Like ever since it was announced, it has been like I'm so excited for it. And I, like a lot of people, were like, I haven't seen a lot, but what's there isn't interesting to me. And then people thought it's Kojima, so he's showing us a little bit of the gameplay, so the rest of it's a surprise. Nope, that's the whole game. That is the whole game.
What is happening?
It's what you see is what you get. So this is obviously one of those games where it's you like it or hate it. There's no in between.
Right.
And the problem with the reviews is the fact that every single news outlet is saying I hate this game, it sucks, the story's good, everything else is awful, I hate it, 10 out of 10. I don't get it. That is a common theme with every single positive review, is that exact thing.
Yeah, everyone is saying they're coming up with all these things that they don't like about it, but they're giving these excuses. They're like, oh, but it's, the end is decent, 9 out of 10. It's like, okay, but what are some of the words that they were saying? It was long, dry, boring, and confusing.
Boring, yeah.
And
when you read it, it's like, did they have a gun to their head? Were they like, this sucks, but it's really good.
Well, something that's kind of interesting that I thought too is that I've heard some people talk about this before within actually reviewing games, is that, and this is something that I've heard now, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but allegedly, The person who reviews the game doesn't even give the score. Did you know that?
What, really?
Yeah. Allegedly, it's the publication. So IGN, GameSpot, allegedly, they give the score, or so the reviewer hands in their score, or they hand in their review, right? And it's up to the publication to decide what the game gets. Allegedly. Allegedly.
So that does make sense because IGN was the running joke of this is all awful, 8 out of 10. Like that's where that joke stemmed from.
Right.
And if that's true, that makes sense.
Right. And this is something that I thought was really interesting, was because Death Stranding, it was really weird because everyone was treating, and this is one of the first times I've seen this, it doesn't happen often. You see it a lot in movies where it's like, oh, there's this trailer for this movie. It looks like crap. But then all of a sudden, that few text that says directed by Quentin Tarantino, say, oh, well, I'm going to go see it, right?
Obviously a masterpiece. Oh!
Obviously, right? Quentin Tarantino. But then you look at... this, and this is the first time that, in a long time, where Death Stranding, in terms of marketing, I still say was awful. Like, the marketing for...
Yeah.
It was just bad. Like, here's the thing, is that... It got you intrigued. Like, I liked the marketing at the start because it was like, what is happening? I have no idea what's going on. 17 minutes of footage just passed and I've seen nothing. What is going on? I see a guy being levitated into the air, stabbing himself to death, and then a baby butt. And
okay, to be fair, think of it like this. How do you market this game? Like, you are not allowed to show anything past this certain thing because everything after that is a massive spoiler. So how do you market it?
Well, I mean, like, there was a point where they actually started to explain more of the game, where they were actually talking about, connecting America and, you know, all these things. But the problem was that started coming out literally like a few months before the game came out, and the game had been announced for years, right? And it's been months upon months of, what am I looking at, right? And it's okay to...
And I guess that gets people talking.
Right, it gets people talking, but the problem is that you have to be able to reveal a few things in terms of story to people, because when you have everyone sitting there with a question mark, it makes people confused. And this is something that I kind of want to transition to soon as well, but it doesn't make sense to be marketing a game where everyone is asking a question, what is going on? There could be, you can market a game of what's going to happen, what could happen, but when you get people asking what is happening, what is this game? I have no idea. You see, because no one even knew what the genre of the game was. That's the thing.
Yeah,
they didn't even know what it was.
And I think we can agree that if this didn't have Kojima's name in it, no one would care. It would probably just be like, oh, what a garbage indie game. But the fact that it's a Kojima game, right, I think is the reason it's getting all these scores. And Kojima himself said that he did want to try to make a new genre like he did with Metal Gear Solid, right, kind of. And, you know, props to him. That's really ambitious, and he's probably going to do that. And the biggest problem I have is, again, at the game store, I deal with a lot of people and I know a lot of customers. Right. And the biggest thing is if all the reviewers are saying it gets good 15 hours in, that's not going to sell well.
Well, no.
Especially when people are like, hey, this new game came out. What is it? And we're like, I have no idea.
Well, here's the problem, too, is that obviously the game it's rated M, obviously, right? We're obviously rated M, right?
Yeah.
So usually that means the crowd that's going to be picking up is the older audience, and that's an audience who actually doesn't have a lot of time. If you think about it, like, think of you and me, right?
That's true.
Yeah. We work a lot. We don't play as many games as everyone thinks that we do, right? We do a lot of work, and the problem is that there's such a small amount of time in the day that we can actually dedicate to sitting down and saying, okay, I'm going to play a game. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to play a game. And if it takes 10 to 15 hours for the game to start to get good, you've been playing it now for, like, let's say if you have 2 hours to yourself, you play it for a week and it hasn't gotten good yet. But the third or fourth day, you're like, I'm done with this game. I just spent a week playing it and nothing has happened. I've walked around, I've peed on things, and I pulled out a ladder.
Woo!
Right?
So, and I will say, like, oh wait, keep going.
Yeah, and that's a problem. And that's a problem of pacing, right? And the question is, but the question does come down does it come down to, is waiting that long worth your time?
So I've been saying this for months, like ever since the game came out or was announced. This game is not going to sell well to the general public, which are a huge portion of video game sales. Right. It's going to sell amazingly to Kojima fans and to certain aspects of PlayStation fans, because at one point this game was a PlayStation exclusive, but now it's on PC in 2020. And first off, a lot of people don't know that, so they still think it's a PlayStation exclusive.
Well, of course, it's marketing, right? I mean, look at Crash Team Racing. With the announcement trailer, they had the PlayStation logo at the end, and everyone thought it was exclusive to PlayStation, but it was just the marketing, right? So
yeah, it was just like, play it on PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly.
But the biggest thing is, I think for me, Death Stranding is interesting. I'm really interested in it, and it just sucks that I will not have the time to play it.
Right.
I love the fact that I don't know if you knew this, but there are like Dark Souls type of interaction with other players where you aren't like invading someone else's game or anything. Later in the game, this isn't a spoiler, but later in the game, you get these electrified motorcycles, and you can deck them out and customize them however you want. And then you get ladders and all types of tools. So if you're riding around and you like leave your motorcycle for something else and you leave a ladder out, that spot where you left that item can phase into someone else's game, so they can come across it and say, oh, look, a motorcycle, and then it says left by someone else, and then you can take it and ride around with it. That's really cool. That's a really interesting way of helping out other players.
Yeah, that's cool, but that's not game changing. That's a cool mechanic.
No.
Right?
That's just neat.
Yeah, that's neat, right? And initially too, if you remember the Death Stranding trailer, I don't even think it had Norman Reedus in it. I don't even think it did. I think it had everyone thought it was a first person shooter, because remember, it was the guy coming out of the muck and he had like the black tears, and he was going shh with his finger to his lips, and it said Death Stranding. Am I correct? I believe that was like the very first trailer. Way back when. Let
me double check. Yeah. Because I know what you're talking about, but I didn't know if that was...
Well, I mean, that was one of the trailers. So everyone thought it was a first-person shooter, and everyone thought it was like the Death Stranding was like going to be a Metal Gear Solid, like a spiritual... At least that's what I thought. I thought, okay, it's going to be like a Metal Gear Solid spiritual successor, because now he's broken away from... what was the studio he was with before he broke away? What was it? It was... Konami. He broke away from Konami, and now he's like, okay, now I can make a Metal Gear Solid style game that I want to make, right? Without the chains and issues of these problems, right? And I feel like with Death Stranding, like you said, it's a game that's going to be very, very, very exclusive to a small vocal minority, right? And that's not how you sell a game, though. You can't base everything on the vocal minority, unfortunately, because the vocal minority doesn't represent the quiet majority, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I looked at the trailer, the first reveal trailer. I see what you were talking about, because the opening shot is hands in the mud,
right?
But it does pan out to Norman Reedus holding the baby,
right?
And the guy saying "shush" was like the second trailer the year after.
Okay.
So I think that's the trailer you saw. But the first one, that was Norman Reedus, because that was right after PT, and they announced Norman Reedus was going to be in it.
Okay, right. So I got, but still, when they saw the second trailer, when you see the second trailer, you're kind of like, oh, this could be like a Metal Gear Solid game, right? You can kind of, get some...
Yeah, because the first trailer doesn't tell you anything, so, go off the second one, hopefully.
Yeah, well, you go off the second one, and developments happen, and genres change, and things adjust.
Yeah, did you see Until Dawn?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, that was a first-person shooter. Yeah, well, then it turned into like a butterfly effect game.
Yeah, it was very, very different. And the polarizing reviews of Death Stranding is really interesting, because there are also people... that are like, if you look at the scores and stuff, there are people that are giving it like 10 out of 10, best game of the year ever, amazing, fantastic. But then there are other reviewers that are giving it lower scores, like 6s and 7s, right? And
then there's that one that's giving it like a 3.
Yeah, like a 3, right? And
yeah,
it's kind of, I don't think it's a 3, but I mean, the question is that these polarizing reviews, but this is something that's also interesting too, is that if you see these games that come out, usually the reviewers overall stay within like a 2 to 3 point range. Like, if most people are giving it a 10 out of 10, the lowest that you're probably going to get for critic scores is like a 7 out of 10. Like, for example, if you go and look at God of War, when you look at all their reviews, the lowest score it got, I think, is like a 75. Right?
Yeah, that's extremely good.
Yeah, that's, the lowest score is a 75, and we got 9s and 10s all over the place, right? But it's very rare that when you see, and this also happened, which good segue into the next topic too, but we can still talk about Death Stranding and compare it to, is Medieval.
Yeah.
Medieval, polarizing reviews again, but what was interesting about Medieval is that there were reviewers that were giving it a score that puts it into the running for Game of the Year, and then there were others that were putting it as if it should go in the dumpster, and but like a 6 point difference almost, right? And
so yeah, I recently did a video about this, like. Right now, still, even after that video, it sits at a 67 Metacritic score, which is not good, especially for a remake, since, Metacritic loves remakes. The highest score from a critic is 100 from App Trigger.
Right, and they're literally saying that this is a Game of the Year contender.
And the lowest is Metro Game Central with a 30.
Right.
And it says like, this is loyal, it's honoring the original, but everything was barely acceptable 21 years ago, let alone now. Right,
and here's my opinion on it. Is it a 10? No. Is it a 3? No.
No. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. It's definitely not a 3, but it's not a 10 and it's not a 3. And you got these reviewers, and they have such, like I said, normally within the reviewers you can get, like, sometimes you get outstanding a review here and there that is kind of like, goofy, but there were a chunk of reviews that were giving Medieval a spot in Game of the Year, and then a chunk of reviews that were giving Medieval a spot in the trash bin. And like those games that you find at the $5 discount store, like, 3 months after it released. And
yeah, and I hope that's not what happens to it, because it's really good. But like I said, the critic score is what matters to the publisher, because they need to see if this was a good investment for them.
Right. They have to look at, but they also have to look at sales. There's a whole big, slew of things. And it's really, really kind of like interesting looking at all these polarizing reviews. And it gets to this question that I kind of want to ask you, because recently, and I was scrolling through Twitter, and this was related to both Death Stranding and Medieval and them receiving scores. And of course, Twitter, as soon as an exclusive game comes out and either it does good or does bad, one side of the aisle makes fun of the other, or the other side of the aisle boasts themselves, right? Like saying like, oh, this, look at this, another beautiful story-driven Sony exclusive game, hardy har har, Xbox dumb. And then but then you get but then you, on the other side of a game does a certain way, LOL, Sony pony stupid, blah 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 blah, right? You get this arguing, and it's almost gotten to a point now where anything below an 8 is garbage. That's
I've noticed that too.
That's the mentality that we've gotten to, is if it's not above, if it's an less than an 8, it's trash, right?
Yeah, and if you look at Medieval's user score, it is an 8 out of 10.
Right.
Like, people, based on over 300 ratings, it has an 8.3 out of 10.
Right. For me, I started to stop giving scores to my games, because what's happening now, like, I used to do, like, I think my last scored review was my Spyro review, and I gave a score for each game. And I sat back and I started to realize something, where people were just looking at the score and that was it. It didn't matter what I said. I could have turned on the video and said, okay, I give this game a 6, I give this game an 8, and I give this game a 9. Okay, see you later. And that's it. Right?
Yeah.
And people weren't, and I was realizing that because, and the Death Stranding reviews were really, really a part of that, because if you look and you're like, oh wow, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, wow, this game is doing really good. But if you opened up the review, they said slow, boring, dull, terrible, 9 out of 10, right? So, but people were just looking at the score and just saying, oh yeah, so it's good. It's like, but did you read the review?
Yeah, is it apparent? I can't tell. That's what I usually did. Like back in the day on my old channel, I would give a star rating,
Right.
but now I'd say shelve it or trash
Right.
it. So that you take that with what you want, and if it's like a middle in between, I say okay, bottom shelf. Like it's not horrible, but it's not good. And then there's top shelf, which is like this is really really good. You should play it.
Well, what I do is I say, okay, I look at it and say, who should buy this? That's the way I do it. It's like, okay, Medieval remake. Who should buy this? Well, if you're a fan of Medieval, yes, obviously, buy it. Right? If you liked games from that era, sure, buy it. And if you like a classic take on like almost a Dark Souls-ish style RPG back in the day, something kind of similar to that, era, then get this game. And then I leave it at that because I let people know, hey, these are the type of people, because everyone has different tastes, right? Everyone has different tastes. So, but now people are just looking at scores now, and it begs the question to ask, are these review scores ruining games? Because remember when Days Gone came out, it got like a 75.
Oh yeah,
like a 74, 75. And I remember the banter and people making fun of it. And Days Gone was one of those games where I was just like, you know what, I'm going to pick it up anyway. I've been really excited about it. I like the idea. I'm still going to pick it up. And I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed Days Gone. Right?
Yeah, my coworker who bought Death Stranding, he absolutely adores Days Gone. I even got him the promotional banner that's on top of the PS4 kiosk at GameStop. Because they let you take those. Right. Fun fact, if you didn't know, if you go to GameStop and you see one, you can say, "Can I put my name on that?" And then they'll call you whenever the Sony rep changes it out.
That's cool.
But yeah, I'm looking at Days Gone's score right now, and it's at a 71, but the user score is an 8 out of 10.
Right.
Oh my god! Based on 4,000 reviews of users, that's really really good.
And I would say that Days Gone was definitely an 8. I would say, yeah, I would agree it's an 8. It has issues, of course, but the payoff for the game was really really good, and this is where I'm kind of thinking to myself, what are these scores really helping the game industry, or is it ruining it in a way?
It's absolutely ruining it. There is nothing good coming from scores. It's really should. I mean, I understand the scores. It's for people who don't want to read it. They just want to be like, is it good or bad? Bam, there's a score.
Right.
But if the mentality of people nowadays, they won't sit down and read a review. They'll watch it absolutely because they'll be entertained, but that can take up a lot of time and they can lose interest. So short bite-sized IGN reviews with a score at the end or a score on the website, that's just going to be good enough for them.
Right, that's it. And or just like a pros and a cons, like what's the pros, what's the cons. And
yeah,
a big issue too, and this is something that I kind of want to put forward, and I think this is a mentality that we all have kind of attributed to it, and the reason why we've gone to this, okay, just give me the score, is because as we grow up, this is the first time that in our era, and this is something that's really weird to think, but most likely this is the first time in our era where we actually have issues with a backlog of games. There are so many games to play. Mm-hmm. There are so many, right? I mean, I have a backlog that's ridiculously huge, and I don't think there has ever been a generation of people, like we're the first generation of people to turn around and say, I have a backlog of games that I need to play, right?
I have a series that I'm about to start about this certain situation.
Right. And what's basically happened is that as adults, as we get older and as we start gaining more responsibilities, whether it's getting married and moving to a new place, new job, kids, etc., our gaming time is going away, and what happens is that backlog increases, and it gets to a point where you have a backlog of like 12 games that you have to play, and then a new game comes out, and you're interested in the score, but the reason why we want to say, okay, it has to be 8 out of 10 or more for me to stop what I'm doing, to stop playing the game that I'm currently playing and replace it with this game. And if it's not an 8, I'm not going to pick it up because I already have a backlog.
Yep, exactly.
I think that's a huge mentality that's been kind of picked up. And I don't think that's healthy. overall, because like I said, there's so many games and there's so many stories that are not being told, that are being told, but people aren't listening because of a number.
We're talking about the review scores number, and I just out of curiosity, I looked up Mario Kart 8, and I really don't understand this. Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U has an 88, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch has a 92.
Right.
It's the same game.
Right. It has more content.
What's the difference?
Well, the Deluxe has more content, but it's like all the DLC and stuff. But overall, that's not necessarily a way to judge the game, right? If you want something that hurts you more, and this was something that I noticed, and this was something that, again, attributes to back what I said earlier about how it's the publisher that stamps the reviews in the games. If you look up, I believe it's IGN or GameSpot. I always get, sorry. We Canadians, we have EB Games, and your GameStop and your GameSpot, you just gotta swap the P and the T, and they're two separate companies. Yep. I get mixed up on them all the time. But if you look up Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And the reason why is that the Wii U version got like a 6, and the Switch version got like a 9.
Why?
I don't know.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's either IGN or GameStop. I can't remember which one it was. From the same site. Now, they were two different reviewers, but like, it was completely different. And it made me think, like, you got like the and they're going on about how great the level design is and all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but literally not like 3 years ago you were trashing this.
I think, hold on, let me mute this. I think I found it. Hold on, you're not lying.
No.
Hold on.
No, like, yeah, look it up. IGN or GameStop. I can't remember which one it was.
Oh my God, you're not lying. So let's see. On the Wii U version, GameSpot said they gave it a 6, and they said the good, exciting and challenging boss battles, vehicle sections help break up momentous gameplay. The bad, dull, employs some cheap and frustrating platforming tricks, harsh checkpoints during boss battles. And then on the Switch version, there are no bads. It's all good. There's no bads. What?
Yeah,
yeah, they're both by two different people.
Right.
But it's the same game.
It's the same. It's a port. Right. It's a port.
It's a port.
Right. There's nothing, but it's not even like, it's worse than the Mario Kart one, like the example that you gave, because the Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at least has more content, more tracks, more characters, more karts. There is literally no difference. I think maybe there's Funky Kong mode, and that's it.
That's it. It's just Funky Kong.
That's it. It's just Funky Kong. That's literally it. The only difference, and apparently, according to the author, Funky Kong mode was allowed to give you 3 points for Gryffindor. And, like, that's insane, right?
I'm looking at it. It's just the good, all this stuff, the bad, and it's blank. But the same game went from a 6 fair to a 9 superb.
Right, exactly. And this is what I mean. And I think that there's got to do something with how the console was doing, because we all knew that the Wii U was a flop. The Wii U was terrible. It did awful. But then the Switch is doing quite the polar opposite. The Switch is doing fantastic.
You put a good game on a bad console, the game gets bad reviews, and then you port that to a good console, and it's like, whoa, where was this masterpiece?
Exactly, right? And this is where I'm saying that reviews overall and their impact, like before, I was very much behind the Metacritic. I was like, yeah, Metacritic, yeah, I understand, I get it. It's the
I was
very much. But then the more that I started, and it started with Days Gone for me, because like I said, they were giving it all these different reviews and people were smashing it. I'm like, you know what? I'm still gonna pick it up. It's something I'm really interested in, even though the reviews are saying it's not good. I want to play it. And I was playing it, and I enjoyed it. It had issues, of course, but I enjoyed it. I was like, I very much enjoyed this. I don't think it deserves the hate that it was getting. And the game is still getting patches. Like, Days Gone just got a Death Stranding patch, where...
Yeah, I heard about that.
And it was just like, they're still patching the game and adding game modes and New Game Plus and all this stuff, and it's amazing. It's fantastic. And I don't understand I don't understand reviews nowadays because I feel like they're so biased or they're so all over the place that you can't even determine whether or not, like I said, everyone's looking at a score, and I think people need to stop doing that. I think people need to find someone that they trust, somebody that they, like, you know, a YouTuber or a specific reviewer, and listen to their review. I know it's like we're gotten to this point where we just want the information now. I want to know now. Is the game good? Right? Is it good? Is it bad?
I think that's going to be more normal in this upcoming generation, because there is still, like, not even a generation, but the beginning of this generation where they grew up thinking, I need it now.
Right.
But this generation seems to be like they want to be more entertained, so they want to watch something all the time.
Right.
So watching these video reviews will help. And going back to the Days Gone update, fun fact, did you know that Ben Studios helped develop Death Stranding?
Yeah.
So that's why there was that Death Stranding update.
Right, yeah.
Along with Insomniac and Ben Studio. Oh, not Ben Studios, Guerrilla Games.
Right, well, Guerrilla gave them the Decima engine, which was the engine...
Yes, that's right. That's for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, for Horizon Zero Dawn, because Kojima was looking for an engine, it wasn't working, and then free of charge, Guerrilla Games just gave them, hey, here you go, here's...
They gave him a wooden box with a flash drive.
Yeah, and it was
it
was the engine. And when he went, he actually showed like the first huge, massive gameplay to Guerrilla, and he brought the same box back.
Like, whoa!
Yeah, yeah, but again, with Death Stranding, these reviews, they're all over the place, and I really think that people need to be able to stop listening to these reviews and reviewers and sit down and find someone that they personally like, because what's happening is we're getting this whole mob mentality where, you know, this group of people hate the game, therefore I have to hate the game too, right? And, you know, or it didn't score well on Metacritic, therefore I'm not going to get it. Now, of course, if the game gets like a 4 out of 10 out of all the reviews and stuff, then yeah, you can definitely turn around and be like, okay, I'm not going to pick it up, maybe, you know. But if the game gets like a 7 and you turn, oh, the game's bad, I mean, I would disagree. Like, there was a game that I skipped out on, and there was a game I skipped out on because of reviews, and now I'm actually going to be picking it up again and trying it. It's Super Lucky's Tale. And
oh, really? You never played that?
No, I never did, because the reviews that it got 6s and 5s, so I didn't pick it up.
Let's see.
But
because I mean, I know it originally was only a VR game. Like, that's what it started off as. Oh my God, you're right. Whoa.
Yeah.
So the PC version has a 59, and the Xbox One version has a 64. What were they saying?
Right. Well, they were just saying that it was bland levels and this, that, and the other. But now they just came out with the new Super Lucky's Tale, which is coming out, I think, tomorrow. And tomorrow at the time of recording.
Oh yeah.
And it's.
Oh yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And that's a game that I skipped out on, but I've recently been looking at it. I'm like, this game kind of looks cool. It's kind of like a Hat in Time feel, like, you know, the platforming and kind of cute and kind of, you know, it's got the Spyro aspects to it too. So anyway, I think we're, is there anything else that you want to throw in on this podcast for our first exclusive Wumpa Time podcast that hopefully we'll be doing more of and work out the kinks soon?
I don't think so. Oh, how about real quick? How do you think about that new Sonic redesign?
You know what? I'm very excited. I'm very excited now. Yeah. Much better.
So, I've been on the ballpark of, it looks really good, but the movie's probably gonna be bad.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, do you think going into this live action Sonic movie with a Jim Carrey Eggman, are you gonna walk in and be like, all right, I don't expect a good movie, I just want to have a fun time?
I think that's what I'm gonna be doing with it. Well, because here's the thing: Jim Carrey in any comedy role is great. I mean,
yes, absolutely.
Like, even like there was a quickly, I can't even remember the movie now. It was an older movie starring Jim Carrey. It wasn't even that funny. It was when you might know the movie. I can't remember the name, but it's when he's been recorded all of his life and he thought everything was real, but it was
the Truman Show.
Yeah, I recently watched that.
Yeah, dude.
And you know what? It wasn't like that heavy on comedy, but it was still funny, right? Because Jim Carrey knows how to work and the timing and all this stuff. He knows how to do that. So I know I'm going to be thoroughly entertained by Jim Carrey, because you can tell he's definitely pulling out his inner Ace Ventura for Eggman, and
Oh yes,
I'm very excited for that, and I'm looking forward to that. So I think the movie, I'm going to go in there with not high expectations, just going there for a fun time. Goofy, not going to make sense, but that's okay, and we're going to see how it is.
Okay, I know we just got done talking about review scores for games, but for movies it's different. Right. Do you think it'll be like a 6 out of 10?
It's going to be a 6.
Maybe a 6.5?
It'll be a 6. It'll be a 6, and Jim Carrey will be carrying the majority of the movie.
I will be extremely shocked if I wake up one morning, look at like Metacritic just for fun, and see that it has like an 86.
Yeah, I would be shocked too.
I mark my words, if that happens, I will make a video saying I was wrong.
Oh yeah.
I am absolutely wrong, and I'm sorry.
I am like for me at best it's probably going to 7 out of 10. At best. Like this is that is like, wow, that is, at best, that's unruly, but definitely at best in my opinion. So that's all the time we have for Wumpa Time. If you guys enjoyed this show, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, but also we're going to be hopefully releasing an episode every Saturday. But if you have a question for the show, it might be featured on the show as a topic, so make sure you leave in the comment section below, because you never know, right? I mean, someone might say an idea or a question, and it might spark a whole debate and topics and stuff that are going to be really good. So interact with us.
Or follow us on Twitter and look out for whenever we ask for questions.
Right, exactly. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of that stuff, and hopefully in the future some Patreon stuff as well, hopefully if everything works out. So hopefully we'll be seeing you guys soon. So as always, take care.
Bye!